The reason that I care is because this does not belong in horror, or anywhere. I care deeply about horror, and everything that he does has demonstrated so far in his career that he should not be welcomed in our spaces, or even, just in public in general. I think that these things clearly showcase a repeated pattern, in my opinion, of racism and homophobia. There's a very small chance that this is not true because I did not take the original screenshot, so make of that what you will.
Ladies, gentlemen, today I sat through one of the longest videos I have seen in my entire life from a YouTube drama subreddit mod. That's just a joke, but he might be, you never know. But I did it so that you don't have to. Yesterday, on May 24th, this guy named In Praise of Shadows, who is a popular horror content creator, created a video called Bad Conservative Horror Movies. I saw the title, and I was pretty intrigued until I saw the 3-hour and 20-minute long length, and I instantly scrolled, as any sane person probably would. However, this video caused Twitter to go off the rails, mainly due to the last hour of the video that would be used to call out the popular creator Wendigoon and his friends as well as other popular content creators. Now, this 3-hour video is split into 4 chapters. Each chapter, which in my opinion could have and should have been split up into its own videos, or at least time-stamped in a way that I didn't have to sit through almost 4 hours. And it doesn't help that Praise of Shadows is one of the slowest speakers in the world. So what could have been said in 1 hour, or maybe split into 30-minute long videos for a series, takes almost 4 freaking hours.
That even his normally receptive audience calls him out on it across the comments section. He digs into this interpretation of the first film as a critique.
Now, chapter 1 is called The Guest of Honor, which was actually a pretty interesting watch and talks about some really low-quality horror convention that he went to named Mad Monster. He goes in and he complains about how redneck it was and how everything was so ghetto for the most part, and why he was there, which is the controversy of Kevin Spacey, a famous actor and alleged predator, being a guest, the main attraction of this convention. Despite this horrible booking decision of Mad Monster, the only other actors at the convention were a Michael Myers stunt double and some extras from the Lost Boys, as well as a few wrestlers and not so popular actors. So, on top of meeting some Z-list extras from some old movies, you can pay $300 to take a photo with an alleged predator. You know, that's like everybody's fantasy, right? He would also use this chapter to talk about another YouTuber named Cody Leach, and calls out his political beliefs, like how he is a centrist and tweets leftist things like pro-LGBT, but he also brings up the fact that he calls out people who make everything political, whether that be the right or the left.
Just painfully centrist, seemingly leaning a little towards liberal. Like, he tweets pro-LGBT stuff, anti-racist stuff, but then he says things like, said it before and I'll say it again. Right or left, the extreme political people are fucking nut jobs. And, I despise a review being a political statement. And, I have no clue why politics has to work its way into literally everything, but I despise the fact that it does.
And by this little snippet alone, you can probably tell what kind of person Praise of Shadows is. He's one of those Twitter people, Reddit people who, no matter what you do, how good, how bad, you're always going to be a problem and he's always going to come for it. And now, at this point, we're about 24 minutes into the video, and there hasn't been a single reference of a bad conservative horror movie mentioned. As a matter of fact, our first main character in this video is Kevin Spacey, who is a left-leaning and a man accused of having misconduct with a 14-year-old boy, Anthony Rapp, in 1986. I only mention this because further in the video, Praise of Shadows will attempt to reach for about any straw he can to call out what he considers far-right content creators. While just 20 minutes into this one, he brings up one of the most controversial leftist celebrities of the past decade. In Chapter 2, Anatomy of a Fallout, he recalls his review of The Hills Have Eyes, in which he states that this review is often brought up when conservatives will twist his words into something he did not intend if they only watch the video.
Making that video. Very often it is the case that when conservatives want to criticize me, they will go back to that and use it as a weapon, by twisting my words in very bad faith to make it look like I said something that I obviously did not intend if you had watched the video. Usually in an attempt to make me either look crazy, or cartoonish, or racist, or that I don't know what I'm talking about, and I'm unqualified to have this job.
Which is extremely ironic, because later in this video, he would accuse some ordinary gamers, Mutahar, of being transphobic based on a drawing of Keffals in a thumbnail of one of his most recent videos.
He is friends with Mutahar, who argued against Andrew Tate being deplatformed from social media websites, and has recently showcased a great deal of transphobia in his most recent video. He is publicly
Now, despite this 1 hour and 30-minute long video regarding Keffals containing zero transphobia and simply being an archive of all the controversies that she has been a part of across the years, it's hilarious to accuse someone of being transphobic based on ugly art in a thumbnail, when in the same chapter you get upset that people take your exact words and misconstrue them somehow. At 14 minutes and 12 seconds of this video, The Hills Have Eyes, Anatomy of a Franchise, you say, he is a wealthy cop. His kids go to nice universities that they broadcast on their clothes. They all present with style and can afford to take vacations across the country. They are representative of everything wrong in America, everything that keeps the Hill people from being able to grow and be financially stable.
And not only that, but he is a wealthy cop. His kids go to nice universities that they broadcast on their clothes. They all present with style and can afford to take vacations across the country. They are representative of everything wrong in America. Everything that keeps the Hill people from being able to grow and be financially stable.
Now, this is your video essay. It's still up to this day, and for the most part, that means you still stand by everything that you said in it. In regards of the context of the video, you came to these conclusions, and you do, in fact, think that the cannibals were in the right to eat the rich, metaphorically, if they represent all that is wrong with America. You know, like working an honest job and retiring, sending your children to college, and saving up money to enjoy your life and future. Pretty insane logic, Fivehead. And now, at 29 minutes and 43 seconds, you mentioned that the public perception people have of you based on this video has ruined your ability to make a living doing what you love.
Because there's not an insignificant amount of people who frequently say untrue things about me, and in the long term, it has kind of ruined my ability to make a living doing what I want to do with my own work. And all of this has been built on a misconstrued idea of what I was actually talking about. But before we get to that,
again, this is ironic because you use the entirety of the upcoming Chapter 4 of this video to make absurd claims and slander YouTubers that you disagree with, such as accusing Donut Operator of being a gun-crazed, far-right YouTuber who is pro of unaliving people who don't share his beliefs, and even accusing Oompaville of taking advantage of Nikacado Avocado, who is a known internet troll, by the way, for his declining mental health for fame and money. In Chapter 3 of this video, about 58 minutes in, you finally reach the topic of the title, Bad Conservative Horror Movies. And in this chapter, he spends about 18 minutes talking about Late Night with the Devil, which is an indie film that got pushed back for having AI-generated title cards. And while we can discuss AI art and all the horrors of AI all day and night, this is irrelevant to the topic of conservative horror movies. If even large companies like Disney have been caught using AI artwork in their productions. In a promotional poster for the film Wish, AI was used, as well as in the title cards for Marvel's Secret Wars. Liberal, leftist companies. Now, after this point, I kind of tuned out. Okay, I'll be brutally honest with you. Until about at 1 hour and 27 minutes, he says something absolutely hilarious.
I promise that this video is not going to turn into a list of people who annoyed me on Twitter, but to explain this concept, we're going to have to talk about Twitter for a short while longer.
I promise that this video is not going to turn into a list of people who annoyed me on Twitter. Obviously, just based on some of the things that I mentioned earlier, this video did indeed turn into that. After this, I skipped to Chapter 4. Okay, I'm sorry, but I was not going to listen to this guy yap about movies that he liked or didn't like for another hour. So, at 2 hours and 44 minutes, we finally get to the meat and potatoes of the video, that juicy, alright? This chapter is simply titled Wendigoon. The last 35 minutes of this video would consist of Praise the Shadows slandering multiple creators, including Turkey Tom, Mutahar, Donut Operator, ShoeOnHead, and the list goes on. He would begin by introducing Wendigoon as a person with a dark past with deep ties to the far-right extremism.
And that, like many people who talk about being Christians as much as he does, has a dark past with deep ties to far-right extremism.
And then he says that Wendigoon's opinion on anything are invalid because he's a young millionaire.
No need or desire to hear 5 hours of opinions on Blood Meridian from a 21-year-old millionaire who got famous around the age of 19. There are some works that fundamentally will not be understood by you if you are wealthy and have always been upper class your entire life.
He would begin this deep dive by covering some of his personal red flags on Wendigoon, including his bizarre gun ownership and using religion as a shield from criticism, which he doesn't really elaborate on, as well as following far-right Twitter accounts and supporting Kyle Rittenhouse. Alright, so for this next part, I'm just going to be pretty much breaking down all of the accusations and things that he's labeled other creators as. And I guess we can start right here with the Boogaloo Boys, okay? And so he basically mentioned the fact that Wendigoon created this meme account called the Boogaloo Boy, and then it started to grow, and then fascists, Antifa, neo-Nazis, racists started to use the name outside of his sphere, and he moved away from it. And then, you know, Shadow goes into a deeper dive on Reddit and 4chan and all these different websites to find out where the name came from. Again, all of this is him just kind of saying, I think it came from this time, or this article shows it came from this time. So clearly Wendigoon's a white supremacist with no proof.
We could talk about his past and supposedly being a founding member in an online conspiracy theory group that, according to him, snowballed out of control into being a white supremacist neo-Nazi organization called the Boogaloo Boys. His online username at the time was Boogaloo Boy, and he claims to be the first to have started using it, but that he left the group and became Wendigoon after things started to get out of hand. And
okay, and then he also mentions the fact that the Boogaloo Boys wore Hawaiian shirts, which Wendigoon is known for wearing, after also comparing, you know, the Boogaloo Boys to neo-Nazis, racists. Shadow thought the best idea was to also wear a Hawaiian shirt. Is there something you'd like to tell us, buddy? Because for someone who is quick to, you know, throw rocks from a glass house, you decided to wear a Hawaiian shirt that neo-Nazis wear. Hey, that's your own medicine, so take it. And obviously, you'd probably want to hear this from a different source. So I went ahead and Googled the Wendigoon explanation of the Boogaloo Boy, and I'm going to break this down in a way that's not as biased as our boy Boogaloo Shadow. So Wendigoon posted this statement. It's obviously like a reply to another user, but this is from his account on his main Reddit. So if anything, he's more taking accountability, bringing it to even more people than just letting it be a reply to someone. And so what he's saying, someone asked about, you know, my Boogaloo Boy persona. Here's my response, and I thought I'd share it to set the record straight. All right, so go ahead and make my official statement. Better to come straight from me. Over 2 years ago, I was among the first to being using the term Boogaloo. Originally, it was a rendition of Che Guevara's, not that he was a good person by any means, code word for revolution. And I've always been a proponent of freedom and liberty. I believe in the divine rights of every human, and therefore aspects of self-independence are important to me. So I began using the word in small settings, and then decided to make a meme page using the name, as no one had done so yet. To give you an idea, my name was Boogaloo Boy, and several have pointed to me as being the original and starting the Hawaiian shirt thing. Several have pointed to him, so he's not taking accountability. People are saying that's what he did. However, as the term became mainstream, more ideas began to come into the group. Everything from Antifa members to fascists wanted in on it, and the original idea became muddled and broken. I always meant it as a for the people thing, yet it quickly became something else. To give you an idea, I've watched the same news station call it a fair leftist movement, and far-right movement in the same day. It became something I didn't want to be a part of, and so I left. I dropped the name, took a break, and decided to walk away and talk about things I enjoy, like conspiracies and movies under the new title, Wendigoon. And it was something I acknowledge, but I'm not a part of anymore. So, logically, you could correlate this is similar to Antifa or something like the Punisher logo for Marvel. These are more or less ideas with a name associated, not necessarily groups. Wendigoon did not have any control over these Boogaloo Boys. He coined the term Boogaloo, and it quickly became associated with him. Now, if anyone were to go and do something vile and horrendous, it would not be linked to Wendigoon because he doesn't control the actions of people across the globe as a content creator. We saw something similar to this with, PewDiePie, when that person went and did that horrific thing at a mosque. I'm pretty sure you guys know what I'm talking about. And he was like, subscribe to PewDiePie. Does that mean PewDiePie is suddenly like a right-wing neo-Nazi now? I'm sure some idiots will argue with me because of like other things that happened, like the whole bridge incident. So maybe that was a bad example. But the Punisher logo. The Punisher logo quickly became associated with like police officers, people in the military, and you also do see like actual white supremacists using the Punisher logo. Does that mean the Punisher is a Nazi? The Punisher is a white supremacist? No. And so Shadow over here is being dishonest. He is purposely twisting the words of Wendigoon to make it seem like he created this white supremacist group, and then it became a little too white supremacist, and so he left. It was never a group. It was never a actual coalition. It was just an idea, a term that people could just adapt to. Think of a joke. Think of something like, Turkey Tom. He'll be like, "What's up, my gooners?" which is like a play on words of people who, rub one out a lot. Okay. And if a bunch of people went and did something horrific and were like, "We're the gooners," yeah, that wouldn't make Turkey Tom a part of that. It's simply an internet lingo, a term, an idea. It's not a real thing, you doof. At 2 hours and 56 minutes, he mentions that Wendigoon is a friend of Turkey Tom, who is accused of using the N-word, and he says he's showing screenshots that are alleged to be real.
Tom has been accused of using the N-word multiple times in private conversations, including these screenshots of texts that are alleged to be real. And he's also been accused of saying that the upper tiers of his Patreon were intended for Jews with deep pockets.
Which is always great. If you're going to accuse someone, make sure that the screenshots are allegedly real. Don't find proof. Don't find something that you can easily copy and paste and share a link.
Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Don't do it, Nick. Oh fuck.
Just take a screenshot off the internet that could be 10, 15 years old, 5 years old, could be edited, cropped. Nobody knows where that came from. But yeah, let's just use alleged screenshots. Turkey Tom is a very edgy character, so would it surprise me if he said the word before? Not really. But again, you kind of made yourself look stupid by posting this and saying it's an alleged screenshot. And also, Turkey Tom made a joke saying that his higher Patreon tiers are for Jews with deep pockets. Racial joke, but you get the joke. It's an edgy joke. I can show you 20 Turkey Tom videos where he's going to say most offensive things just like this, and right after he'll say, "I'm just kidding, I'm just messing around."
Respecting my wishes there. We've built such a progressive community here. It's just, I'm so proud. I really am. You guys make me so proud to be Zim. I ain't never seen a ass like that.
It's Turkey Tom, bro. Stop crying. Also, he includes that he is connected to the internet historian who made a joke one time saying that his birthday was on April 20th, which is a joke to Hitler's birthday. It's a joke. If you're offended by that, boo-hoo, I guess. Internet historian is not saying the Holocaust didn't happen. He's not saying Hitler was a good guy. It is a joke, a bad joke. And that's sometimes the fun of jokes, is that they're so bad, they make you facepalm, they make you cringe, they make you go, ugh. That's how comedy works. You don't have to laugh at it. But to say, you made this one joke one time, you're clearly a Nazi. You're an idiot, okay? Also said that he is he's friends with Donut Operator. 2 hours, 57 minutes. He retweeted a photo of them hugging on December 16th, 2023. Obviously, that's a crime against nature to hug someone that you are good friends with. And he accuses Donut Operator of being a gun-crazed, very far-right YouTuber with 4 million subs.
Two of them hugging. Donut Operator is a gun-crazed, very far-right YouTuber with 4 million subscribers.
He is a YouTuber with 4 million subs, and he likes guns. His career consists of reviewing footage of police officers shooting and unaliving people. His content is pro-state, pro-gun, and pro-cop, pro-unaliving to people who don't share his beliefs.
His content is very pro-state, pro-cop, pro-gun, and pro-death to people who don't share his beliefs propaganda. For example, one of his videos is titled Predator Takes Shotgun to the Face, and features a picture of him smiling in the...
Which to me is one of the absolutely most disgusting things that you can say. Because Donut Operator streams content and posts content of criminals, you know, getting what they deserve. Nobody is going to watch a video of a, you know, person who has the intention to like go and do something bad to a child. And half the time it's not things that, you know, it's a Chris Hansen sting. Oh no. It's, what's his name? Joe Rosen, or what's that guy's name? You know what I'm talking about, that big ginger guy. It's not one of those things where it's a sting. It'll be literally a guy who is convicted and has felonies, has been to prison before, whips out a rifle on a cop and gets blasted. And this is what Donut Operators say will be like, well, he had it coming. And if you disagree with that, then suck a fart, all right? He makes a living worshipping violence committed by the state. That's not what happens. And then he says he's the biggest fascist bootlicker on the internet, where he then accuses Wendigoon of also being a big fascist bootlicker.
Claiming to be very against the government and for the rights of the people, while at the same time giving a warm embrace to one of the biggest fascist bootlickers on the internet. And the only thing that one could reasonably gather from this picture of them hugging is that he too is a fascist bootlicker himself.
At 2 hours, 58 minutes, he says that he collabed with Nick Crowley, who makes money through morbid and shameful true crime content. On the surface, seems very edgy, but looks clean enough. In my opinion, this just seems like he's grasping for straws. There are so many content creators out there who cover like true crime and dark sides of the internet. I mean, just saying dark reminds me of the dark web and the horrific side of the world. And you have all kinds of podcasts, all kinds of TV shows, Dateline NBC, The First 48. True crime makes money. And it's grasping for straws to somehow link this to being like a conservative thing, or it's only bad because Nick Crowley did it. Nick is friends with Plagued Moth, Wendigoon, and Turkey Tom. He collabed with Plague Moth, who reviews snuff films on Patreon, accused of showing gore content to minors on Discord. Content is reviewing censored violence videos. And he's also friends with ShoeOnHead, which is kind of funny because you're going to mention all these people who like show like, you know, blood and gore and violence. Then you just like, and also friends with ShoeOnHead, who is a conservative masquerading as a leftist with no proof. Built a career on lazy anti-woke content. And I would say ShoeOnHead is not one of those people at all. She's a person who has experience with a lot of the things she says, and she does research and finds articles and finds things. She's not like the quartering, you know, where she just pulls up an article that's clearly biased to already support her beliefs and then just says, oh my God, guys, Little Mermaid's black. No, she will, you know, do some relatively decent research on the topics that she's trying to say. Also, he says he's friends with Brandon Buckingham, a gun YouTuber who is accused of forcing himself on another person. I don't want to say the word. I don't know how YouTube handles that. These were actually allegations by none other than Sneako, you know, that very well-versed, trusted individual who's been banned from like almost every platform. It's pretty strange that you would use him as some sort of valuable resource that's full of valuable information. And the only reason this ended up going out was because of this girl named Xena the Witcher, who is a very controversial figure in herself. Went viral about a year ago because she peed out of her window live on Twitch. Pretty sure she got punished or like banned for a day for that. But this is the kind of clown insanity we're dealing with. Sneako and the window pisser are accusing a guy of assault with absolutely no, validity to it. And nothing came from it. That was back in June 16th, 2023. Brandon is still roaming the streets and making his gun content, because that's apparently what he does. He also decided to use a photo of Brandon's grandpa after a brain injury for this shot for some strange reason. You would think that if you're going to showcase a guy who's a big gun YouTuber, this right-wing crazy nut, you would have like some crazy footage of him doing like right-wing crazy nut things, but no, you're going to show him in a vulnerable moment hugging his grandfather. Crazy. He also says, friends with Oompaville, as if that's supposed to be scary. Oh my god. This big YouTuber's friends with all these other funny big YouTubers who are edgy. Who is also another gun-obsessed content creator who has taken advantage of Nikacado Avocado, a known internet troll, mental decline for money and fame. Oompaville has 5.3 million subscribers, and Nikacado is not the first online personality he has collabed with. He also accuses him of collabing with Andrew Tate, a human trafficker.
And on top of that, has made content with the human trafficker, Andrew Tate.
Which isn't necessarily false. However, Oompa would interview Tate in July of 2022. Tate wouldn't be charged or arrested for this until December of 2022. So that's dishonest. Okay? And he also says he's friends with Mutahar. Who argued about Andrew Tate's deplatforming, which Mutahar even tweeted out and says he didn't argue with that. In all these videos, Mutahar is actually like not on the side of Andrew Tate at all. In this first video, Andrew Tate, I'm pretty sure he's just breaking down the case. In this one, he's breaking the case down even further. And he's even calling Andrew Tate a liar, which, yeah, you would definitely call someone a liar when you're defending them, right? So if you somehow can look at this and think that Muta supports Andrew Tate, you might be just as stupid as Shadow. And then again, he brings up the transphobia thing that we have seen with Keffals and all these other different characters.
Against Andrew Tate being deplatformed from social media websites, and has recently showcased a great deal of transphobia in his most recent video.
The entire Keffals situation ended up just being a huge miscommunication, a way for Keffals to attempt to switch the narrative, to take away from the fact that an hour and 30 minutes of Mutahar's video dived in, break down every single controversial thing that she was involved in with evidence, with proof, backed up by many of her friends and people in her community. It was simply pointed to being transphobic as a way to, take the focus away. And of course, a moron like Praise the Shadow is going to look at this and say, yeah, you're right, that is transphobic. I mean, Just a Worm, sure, the dude has drawn everybody like this for the past 2 years, but nah, this one time he drew Keffals, that's obviously transphobic. He interacted with Rock Solid, who is known for liking transphobic and neo-Nazi content, guys. So be very careful who you like, who you reply to, because this guy's going to notice all that and somehow link it, okay? He interacts with Disclosed TV, that is a far-right propaganda site that uses hate speech, Holocaust denialism, and platforms neo-Nazis. Mr. Guns and Gear, who tweeted negatively about trans people many times. Interacted with Garan Thumb, who said the traditional family should be encouraged and strengthened. I see little to no support from the government or big media. Friends with Brendan Herrera, who made jokes, collabed with Kyle Rittenhouse, a controversial teen, and took photos with an MP40, a Nazi weapon, referred to as the original ghetto blaster. An MP40 is also in Call of Duty World at War. If I pick that gun up, I'm rocking with the funny mustache man now? Is that what's going on here? He made content with Haley Lujan, an influencer who makes the military look fun and takes scantily clad pictures. And then he says, for someone who's so anti-government, he has a lot of wealthy white friends who uphold values of government empire.
And if they don't want to be seen as a big group of Nazis, then let's see how they react to this video's existence, because I am certain they will be very level-headed about all of this.
This is a video about bad conservative horror movies. Now again, that might just be a clickbait title, but I feel like that title alone is going to get him more pushback because Wendigoon is not a filmmaker. Okay, Wendigoon has not made a bad conservative horror movie. I don't even think he considers himself to be necessarily conservative. And so I guess this whole attempt of including all these different people is him trying to just, compare him to being a Nazi and all this other stupidity. Okay. About 3 hours and 2 minutes into the video, Shadow would claim that Wendigoon falsely claims having Native heritage as an excuse to disrespect Native Americans by using the name Wendigoon, which, by the way, is a combination of the name Wendigo and Goon. Now, Shadow would then make an absurd comparison, saying that the use of the name Wendigo is similar to saying something racist and thinking you can get away with it because you have a black family member, or pulling the I have a black friend card.
But I personally have to look at it from the hypothetical perspective, where, say I had a black or mixed grandfather in this situation, and black people were telling me that I was doing something that was racist or offensive to them. I would then listen to what they were saying instead of claiming that I had the right to do it because I had some melanin in me. Especially if I were more or less raised within a primarily white cultural area, like the Appalachian Mountains are. And also on top of that, just, frequently associated myself with white supremacists.
Now, for anyone who maybe doesn't know, a Wendigo is a supernatural being, okay? It's like a chupacabra. It's like all these different animals that are kind of passed down through generations as folklore and mythological creatures, okay? And we have seen Wendigos in many popular culture, Stephen King books and films, and even the game Until Dawn, okay? The Wendigo that you see in popular media and the Wendigo that you are seeing in indigenous cultures are two completely different ideas that simply share a name. Wendigoon is taking the popular creature from Until Dawn, from folklore, the design that you might have known from popular culture is who he is. He's not disrespecting indigenous culture, and it takes a few Google searches that you can easily find what the difference is between the two different ideas. But going back to Shadow's reaching tournament, every voice actor of Until Dawn, every actor in that game, everyone who worked on that game, are they racist as well? Is every streamer or YouTuber who played this game racist as well? Is every writer, every actor, director who's ever been in a project or a film, a movie that had a Wendigo in it, are these people racist? It's kind of absurd that Wendigoon even apologized, but it's still not enough for Mr. Shadows. In the amount of time that it took me to Google and find multiple answers to the offensiveness and understanding of a Wendigo and culture, he continued to cry for the next 20 minutes about how Wendigoon, being a white guy, doesn't give him the right to call himself this name.
Deep Appalachia is very white country, and for the most part, is exceptionally racist. Genuinely in this part of the country, you have to assume that any white person you meet is racist unless they show you otherwise. He's basically using the I have a few black friends excuse to tell indigenous people to fuck off and to not bother him, so that he can continue without criticism to make a lot of money by selling plushies of a monster that was invented by a white British man that is ultimately making fun of their culture, as well as plastic figurines, posters, shirts, and other merchandise that depicts Wendigos. I don't know if he fully realizes the irony of being a rich and famous person taking a symbolic figure from a smaller native group of people that he is not connected to in any way, that is at least in part to them originally used as a metaphor for colonialism.
And how he would go and make a merch of it and blah, blah, blah. And he would then make himself look stupid by posting a pretty base comment by Wendigoon of him calling out cultural appropriation and saying that it's a way to alienate people and culture. I mean, I kind of agree. Shadow would also accuse Wendigoon of being transphobic based on this now deleted tweet about Chris Chan. Calling Chris Chan, parentheses, a man who mutilated his body with a box cutter because 4chan said he was a girl, holds a deep hatred for men and most women, decided to be a girl so he could hook up with lesbians, and now abused his mom. She is disrespectful to and delegitimizes trans people. Now, regardless of how you feel about Chris Chan or Kristen Weston Chandler, whatever you want to call her, Kristen Weston Chandler here, she did in fact take advantage of her mother, who had dementia and many other mental issues, and she ended up going to prison for it. You see, I'm going to respect it because I'm not in the brain of Kristen Weston Chandler. And so I don't know what the heck's going on. But to look at this comment, you can see that Wendigoon even says it delegitimizes trans people. Now, you can argue what he said is transphobic when he's literally supporting trans people at the end. I think this is something where he's concerned about people like Kristen Weston Chandler, who may be using the trans movement as a way to do very bad things and be able to get away with it, similar to Keffels, where they can simply pull the "I'm trans" card. You can't say that, you can't do this, I'm trans, blah, blah, blah. Now, I do feel that the whole part about like mutilating his body with a box cutter, it goes a little deep. But again, this is a deleted tweet, so this is simply me going on the idea that this is a real tweet at all. And if it's not, I greatly apologize for even, platforming this idea, Wendigoon. But if it is, yeah, I feel this topic could have been touched a bit more differently, or just not really touched much at all. At 3 hours and 16 minutes, Shadow would whine about Wendigoon leaving a comment on a fellow creator named NyxFears page saying, "We will be watching your career with great interest." Mind you, this is a trans woman, and it doesn't fit Shadow's narrative of Wendigoon being a transphobe, so he would quickly call it gross and accuse Wendigoon of simply doing this to make it known he sees her making similar content and somehow undercut her own video.
And in the comments of her video, he said, "We will be watching your career with great interest," which is just kind of gross, because in a way it is similar to him following me. It is him telling her that he sees that she's doing similar content to him, and his presence in the comments is undercutting her video, while he also at the same time seemingly makes it look like he supports trans people.
To which Wendigoon's fans would even say, Wendigoon says trans rights. Now, I have, an issue with this statement, because I've had large creators find my videos. Of course, I only have 2,000 subs, and I've had large creators with 100,000s. Even JoJo, who is an ASMR creator with 1 million subs, I've had him go to his alt commentary channel, come to one of my videos, subscribe, and comment. Is that him somehow taking attention away from my video, or basically saying, "I'm watching you, buddy, don't get out of line"? No, it's not. That's such a stupid idea to even think. And again, the irony of you putting this section of the video right after the last one where you accuse him of saying something about Chris Chan that a good amount of people probably also agree with, is not helping your case, dude. Like, you just look like an idiot. The next part, Shadow would post a meme of Wendigoon being put as a sub-bottom in a YouTuber gay sex chart, clearly pointing out that it's a joke. Shadow would still be offended, saying Wendigoon is making fun of gay people when he is very clearly just going along with the joke.
And said, "What did I do to hurt you?" Which, clearly is a joke, but also the worst kinds of straight guys, when they make jokes related to queerness, almost exclusively direct the punchline at femme gays and bottoms, because they view them as lesser than masculine tops.
This is like a friend making a gay joke and you just kind of go with it. Okay, the joke is not that he actually feels like this person hates him because he made him gay. No, the joke is saying that, why would you put me as a bottom? Okay, the bottom is the joke that he's going to be taking it up the keister. That's the joke. And he's saying, why do you hate me? Why are you going to put it up the keister? Okay, that's the joke, bro. Try to keep up. Please, try to keep up. And now, last but not least, Shadow would show a tweet of Wendigoon saying, "I do not care if someone is gay or straight. Sexuality is no one's business but the individual. Don't make assumptions. I make an effort to stay away from politics and social issues." To which Shadow would once again misconstrue the statement, saying that sexuality is not political.
Which, first off, equating sexuality with politics kind of already shows what you kind of think of the issue. And second off, clearly, as we have seen, everything that he does has deep political motivations.
When Wendigoon literally included social issues in the tweet. And even if he didn't include the social issues part, Shadow spent the entire 3 hours and 20 minutes of this video making leaps and insane grasps towards sexuality, trans people, so many other things that you wouldn't consider politics, to somehow link all of these different YouTubers and creators as being far-right conservatives and slander them the entire time.
And to argue that he's just a horror YouTuber is comical. Far-right figures are often the only ones who hide their harm under a false shield of wanting to seem like they have no strong beliefs at all. Because their real views are so socially abhorrent, why does it matter? Or, so what if he's a conservative? Is that a problem? Which, the answer to that is yes. But
now, we finally reached the end of the line. This is probably going to be my longest video. It's probably going to be like 30, 40 freaking minutes. My computer is probably going to like overload and crash like 12 times trying to edit and render all of this. But hopefully you all were able to learn something. Hopefully you all were able to, do your own research and figure out that these kind of disingenuous idiots are going to try to do whatever they can to find large creators and attempt to take them out for the wrong reasons. You have all these different YouTubers, like these anti-woke creators, who literally all their content looks the exact same. It's them crying about like a black samurai in Assassin's Creed. It's them crying about like a woman in a TV show. You know the people. These people, they're just chilling. But then you have goobers like Shadow who are going to go after all these other large YouTubers who are just kind of minding their own business, creating content that might be a little edgy, trying to keep that 2016 era of like YouTube comedy and fun and wackiness alive. God forbid they go shoot guns together, go travel and do things together and build this fun little community of people who just want to do whatever they want and literally say, we support trans people, we support gay people, we don't care what you do with your own life, what you want to do, blah, blah, blah. But then you have disingenuous fools like Shadow who are going to make this 4-hour video that people aren't going to watch, or I guess they are going to watch because they're going to skip all the way to 2 hours in to find him looking like an absolute buffoon and being proven wrong on almost every single thing that he says. You can even tell near the end where he started to run out of things to talk about. And he's just like, well, here's this meme right here that I can take out of context. The entire video is him just taking things out of context, putting words into people's mouths, saying, I think this, I think that, I think that.
There's a very small chance that this is not true because I did not take the original screenshot, so make of that what you will.
There's so little times. I can't even think of a single time in this entire video where he's taken someone's word and just let it be. That's what you have to do. You have to take someone's word and let it be. If someone's a bigot, if someone's a homophobe, if someone's a transphobe, they will let you know. They're not going to go out of their way to literally affirm the people that they are apparently phobic against in the same sentence. We've seen that with some ordinary gamers. It's like, what, the freaking 15th time Mutahar has been thrown into some drama he's not even a part of. People accusing him and his freaking wife of being transphobes. They will literally watch a video of Muta saying, look, I don't dislike trans people. If you're trans, good for you. But here is a thorough investigation and research into Keffels, a very bad person who happens to be trans, and all people will say is, oh my god, he's transphobic because just a worm who, by the way, deleted his Twitter account because of these socially online losers who are rotting away on the YouTube drama subreddit. I see you guys. I hope you guys like that little callback in the intro. But these losers who rot away and post the most nonsensical takes and accuse every single person of being a neo-Nazi, some type of phobe and an ist. When there are real dangers in the world, there are real bad people that should be called out and are called out and are banned and deplatformed. And then you have 4-hour-long video essays about people slandering people. Hopefully, this video gets taken down. Not mine, of course. I'm good. I think that this bad conservative horror movies is low-tier clickbait rage bait, and I do applaud you for making this 4-hour freaking long video of you not really making any points whatsoever. It's you defending yourself in one point, then being a hypocrite the next. It's you saying, I don't make a lot of money because I say stupid things and people call me out for it. So what I'm going to do is say stupid things and be called out for it. What I'm going to do is go after large YouTubers and accuse them of being neo-Nazis. I'm going to show Wendigoon following me and then say he's only following me because he wants me to know that I'm watching him, blah, blah, blah. You're a doofus, bro. You are an absolute imbecile. Right now, you're sitting at like 60, 70% dislikes, 40% likes. It's going to keep going. Okay. The second these big YouTubers make a video defending themselves from you, it's over, bro. So that Hills Have Eyes review you did that flopped and people called you out because you were stupid, that was nothing compared to what's about to happen, bro. And that's not a threat. It's just a promise of what's going to happen. And that's coming from a dude with 2,000 subs. I post videos about like Assassin's Creed and I'll say like, wow, the racists are mad about this one. And I get 70% dislikes. It is what it is. But you made a video 4 hours long, 1 hour of that is accusing some of the funniest, most genuine, interesting characters left on YouTube and accused them of the most heinous, vile things. And I hope you fail for that. I hope your channel fails, dude. Because you're a disgusting man. You're a disgusting person who sits up here on YouTube staring at your little teleprompter, reading nonsense. You try to look up proper, prim and proper with your Boogaloo Boy Hawaiian shirt on, making claims and looking like an idiot. Delete your YouTube. I hope you guys liked the video. I hope you guys were able to learn a little something. Subscribe if you want, like if you want. I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.
Because remember, kids, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them.